A long time ago, in a quiet town nestled between wide green fields and gentle rivers in the southern part of the United States, there lived a young woman named Madison Cole. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Cole, were simple farm folks who worked hard every day tending to their cornfields and raising chickens. Madison was their only child, and they adored her more than anything in the world. But Madison was not like other girls in town. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Her skin glowed like warm honey under the morning sun. Her eyes were deep blue like the summer sky, her lips soft and pink like rose petals, and her long golden hair shimmered whenever the wind passed by. People in town often said, God must have taken his time when he made Madison. Every morning, while others rushed to school or helped their parents, Madison would sit in front of her vanity mirror, brushing her hair slowly, admiring her reflection. "Who could be more beautiful than me?" she would whisper to herself, smiling proudly. "No one in this town, no one in the whole country." She would pose, tilt her head, and blow kisses to her reflection. Her mother, passing by the room, would sigh deeply. "Madison, honey, please come help me wash the dishes or feed the chickens." Madison would groan, "Mom, my nails are too perfect for that. You know dishwater will ruin them." Then she'd roll her eyes and return to her mirror. Her father would shake his head when he came home tired from work. "Beauty won't plant the fields, sweetheart," he'd say gently. But Madison would laugh. "Daddy, I won't need to plant anything once I'm married to a rich man. I'll live in a big mansion in California and never touch dirt again." Her parents smiled sadly. They loved her but feared the pride in her heart. As time went by, her friends began getting jobs, going to college, or helping their families. Madison, however, spent her days online, posting selfies, joining beauty contests, and waiting for a rich man to notice her. Her social media pages were filled with filtered pictures, each one captioned with something like, "Too pretty for small-town life," or "Born to shine." People admired her looks but whispered behind her back. "She's lovely," they'd say, "but her heart's not as pretty as her face." One summer afternoon, the town hosted its annual harvest fair. Stalls filled the square, fried food, music, laughter, and children running about. Madison wore her most expensive dress, a glittery gold one she'd ordered online, and heels that clicked with pride as she walked. Everyone turned to look, but not out of love, out of disbelief. "There she goes again," someone whispered. Always showing off, Madison pretended not to hear. As she crossed the fairground, she bumped into Mrs. Walker, an elderly woman who sold homemade pies. The old woman stumbled and her pies fell to the ground, splattering on Madison's shiny heels. The crowd gasped. "My pies!" cried Mrs. Walker. Madison looked down with disgust. "Ugh, do you even watch where you're going? These shoes are designer." The old woman trembled. "I'm sorry, dear, my vision isn't what it used to be." Madison rolled her eyes. "Then maybe you shouldn't be walking around with pies like some blind bat." The crowd fell silent. Someone whispered, "That's Mrs. Walker. She's been baking for this town for 50 years, but Madison didn't care." She tossed her hair and strutted away as Mrs. Walker bent down slowly to clean the mess. Just as Madison turned the corner, the old woman lifted her eyes to the sky and said softly, "Child, the mirror you love so much will soon forget your face. May your beauty fade until you learn what true beauty means." That night, Madison couldn't sleep. Her skin itched. Her mirror looked foggy. When she woke up the next morning, she screamed. Her once flawless face was covered in rough, dry patches. Her hair had lost its shine, her lips were pale, and her eyes seemed dull. "Mom, Dad, what's happening to me?" she cried. Her parents rushed in and froze in shock. Her mother wept. "My poor child. This is what pride does. It blinds the heart until even the skin forgets its glow." Madison sobbed. "I'll say sorry. I'll apologize to Mrs. Walker." But when they went to find her, Mrs. Walker's bakery was closed. No one had seen her since the fair. Days passed, then weeks. Madison hid inside her room, ashamed to step out. Her online followers disappeared one by one. Her mirror stayed covered with a towel. She no longer posted photos or laughed at her reflection. Months later, a strange old man arrived in town. He was short, wrinkled, and hunched, with gray hair sticking out wildly and a crooked cane tapping against the floor. He smelled faintly of tobacco and old leather. His name was Earl Jenkins, and he was known as the loneliest man in town. When he heard about Madison's curse, he knocked on her door. "I heard you're looking for a husband," he said, his voice gravelly. "I'll marry you if you can stand my looks." Madison's heart sank when she saw him. His teeth were yellow and uneven, His clothes were dirty and mismatched. But then she remembered Mrs. Walker's words. Her beauty would only return when her heart learned to see beyond faces. Taking a deep breath, she said quietly, "Yes, I'll marry you." Her parents were shocked. The town was speechless. "Madison Cole marrying him?" they whispered. But the wedding happened quietly at the small church by the river, without flowers, music, or guests. That night, their little house smelled of old wood and dust. Earl snored so loudly the window rattled. "This is my test." Days turned into weeks. Earl was rude, impatient, and lazy. He demanded his food at odd hours, complained constantly, and ordered Madison around. "Wash my clothes, scrub my boots. Stop humming!" But instead of arguing, Madison obeyed. She cooked his meals, cleaned his shoes, and fetched water from the well. She also began helping her neighbors again, carrying groceries for old women, feeding stray dogs, smiling at children. For the first time, her beauty came from kindness, not from mirrors. One day at the farmer's market, a little girl dropped her basket of apples. Madison knelt to help her pick them up. As she did, an old woman sitting nearby looked up. It was Mrs. Walker. Her eyes softened as she whispered, "You've changed, child. Your heart shines brighter than your skin ever did." That night, Madison dreamed of Mrs. Walker standing in a field of light. "Your curse is broken," the woman said. "True beauty lives inside you now." The next morning, Madison woke up and ran to her mirror. Her reflection shimmered and she gasped. Her skin was clear, her hair golden again, her eyes bright as ever, but something was different. Her smile was gentle, her gaze calm. She looked beautiful, not because of her face, but because of her heart. When she stepped outside, the whole town gathered. "She's back," people cried. "But she's different now, kinder." Even Earl blinked in shock. "You're not the woman I married," he said gruffly. Madison smiled. "No, Earl. You helped me find who I really am." She thanked him, gave him food for the road, and wished him peace. Years later, Madison became known across the state for her kindness. She opened a small community center where young girls learned not just makeup and fashion, but compassion and confidence. A wealthy businessman named Daniel Hart visited the town once, drawn by her good deeds. When he met her, he didn't fall in love with her beauty, but with her grace. They married quietly, surrounded by the same townspeople who once whispered about her pride. And though Madison's mirror still stood in her bedroom, she never stared into it again. She would smile at her reflection only to whisper, "Real beauty is what you give, not what you see." Moral pride builds walls, but humility opens doors. True beauty is not in the face, but in the heart that learns to love, forgive, and grow.